Ka East-West Group of Institution Bangalore, ka khot admission na kabanta ka nursing but paramedical course, ka bala itho da ka Indian Nursing Council, ka buy admission ka badunatam, but she's pa percent ka jinyokam. Pila ru ban apply da ka education loan.
Ka All India Safe Education Committee AISEC kala Kyntait da ka National Education Policy NEP da ka baong ba ka policy wan rajing a perjab nriu penlongkam khai ba jinklun bor jang ka sarkar pedeng. Ka Meghalaya chapter ka All India Safe Education ka ba Kyntup ikin nongikai ki riu puli but ki we ki kin hun shimet ki lapalat ru ka draft People Education Policy PEP kum ka jingmi bujli hakajaka ka NEP. Kanika committee kabaya lamu Dr. Bats Kemirbo unong hikai ka nehu lapan ru kajing ajing mut halor kanika policy na kriyopan ba kanang ban pinbit pinbiang shwa ban palat pat ba ha Bengaluru hau kalaling kor ajar pun rio. Ka committee kan liti jingkhang ru syaka sarkar pedeng bat syaka sarkar jylla Meghalaya ban bujli daka PEP ha kajaka ka NEP na kabenta ka jingba pat ka jingbit jingbiang ka puli puthi ha kari.
Meghalaya chapter of the All India Safe Education Committee, in fact we can trace back to 2024, where the leaders from the national level and also the leaders from Assam's state chapter, they came to visit our state and tried to get some people where the state chapter can be formed as part of the All India movement against the communalization of education in India, commercialization, and all the related problems associated with the NEP. Ultimately, we had a series of informal consultations with the like-minded people who are interested in, in saving the education in the country. And we are very happy that after a series of meetings with different people, we were able to form the state Meghalaya chapter of the All India Safe Education Committee.
One believed in development, and development can never take place without an infrastructure. And when we look at education, it is a social structure. It is a social infrastructure. Now, for whom is this infrastructure built? First, we have to be very clear about that. Does it concern only students and teachers? Or does it concern parents? Does it concern families? Does it concern the community as a whole? And if we accept this, that this is an infrastructure on which the whole of society depends on, how can a single cabinet sitting decide on a policy? I fail to understand why it was not discussed. And for infrastructures, to my mind, for infrastructures to be sustainable and for education to be sustainable in this country, we need a bottom-up approach towards how this policy should take place, not a top-down approach by a few persons. India Safe Education Committee come up with this new challenge towards this education policy of the 2020 and to call it a people's education policy of 2025. We need to engage people. We need these sort of engagements. We need discussions so that it can be taken to Parliament and discussed. It can be discussed in the states. Fortunately for us, education falls under the concurrent list. So therefore the states also can take a part. We can discuss as we are discussing here. So let us just mention, I'd like to mention a few points where this people's education policy seems to be very, very relevant to India, the India of the 21st century, as we look forward on how do we proceed ahead. It says that we should do away with this narrow communal approach of promoting narrow communal ideas and by prioritizing profit motive considerations of the 2020 NEP, and I fully agree with this. The education policy cannot be an individual proposition. It has to be a policy of the whole of, for the people of the whole of India.
Policy of the people's education, and I think it is very, very comprehensive. It has taken into account every aspect of education and how it should be taken to the last village of this country and of this state of Meghalaya. We know the condition of education in our state. We also know that there are several schools that are running as co-schools. So we know that there are schools with one teacher. We know there are schools with, they're just schools for name's sake. So within this, within the paradigm of this Save India, All India Safe Education Committee, we would expect that the state government would take a call on normalizing education in the form of by taking a look at all those educational institutions that are non-functional, to make them functional, and if they cannot be made functional, they should be closed. And also in the larger context, we know that with the present regime, education has been highly communalized. Some chapters have been taken away, some chapters have been added without any public discussion, and which is one reason why they perhaps released this policy, the NEP 2020, during the COVID regime. So any policy, any public policy that has not been debated and discussed cannot be passed the way this has been passed by the cabinet, not by the Lok Sabha. So we want to ensure that our children, for the future, they get an education where they're able to ask questions, where things will not be implanted on them, theories will not be pushed down, where they will have the liberty to question, and we actually want to create that kind of educational atmosphere where students will be allowed to question, because without questioning there can be no education. Communication will be just a one-sided thing. So,
the assistant professor from sngi College. As a convener of the All India Safe Education Committee, the Meghalaya chapter, I welcome you all, the member of the press, the esteemed personalities on the dais. In today's program, the All India Safe Education Committee will be releasing this draft People's Education Policy as an alternative to the NEP 2020. And as we know that the Union government, which was in power in the year 2020, adopted a National Education Policy 2020 at a time of the COVID-19 pandemic, only through a cabinet decision, without placing it on the floor of the parliament for meaningful discussion and debate. However, the All India Safe Education Committee, being of the firm opinion that this NEP 2020 will destroy the entire education system in India, and is in the forefront of the struggle against the NEP 2020. And today, as we mark the birth anniversary of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who pioneered the Indian Renaissance movement and who paved the way for modern education in India, the Meghalaya chapter of the Aisec is also releasing here in Shillong, the state capital of Meghalaya, and simultaneously in all the state capitals of the country, as well as in the national capital, New Delhi, we are releasing the draft People's Education Policy as an alternative to the NEP 2020.